Good morning and welcome back, everyone, to yet another Agent Call review. This is something that everyone should have their mentor do for them. Whether it's a good call or a bad call, knowing what you're doing wrong is the first step to doing what is actually right. Remember, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence isn't an act, it's a habit. I'm Ryan Valet, your FExpert or final expense expert, and I have actually made over 20 grand a month for 3+ years as an agent myself off of client booked appointments only. Now my goal is to help as many agents as I can understand how to truly make a living selling final expense life insurance, whether you're sitting at your desk in a cubicle or dialing in your underwear at home. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let's get into it, guys.
Hello? Yes.
This is Russell. I was replying to inquiry you sent us about final expense options.
Yes. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from RICO, and
Okay.
I am in California, but I'm licensed in 26 states and one of them.
Okay.
And I got as your beneficiary, and your email is that correct?
Yes, right. Uh-huh.
Okay. And so were you looking for yourself or for a loved one?
For myself.
Okay. And about how long have you been looking?
For a couple months.
Oh, okay. And do you currently have anything right in place?
I do.
Oh, okay. And when you were thinking about it, you wanted to add to it or try to save something on what you currently have?
I wanted to, I'm not exactly sure. It's a term life, and I'm not exactly sure how much longer it has. So, I was looking.
How long have you had it?
Since 2011.
Okay.
It was a 30 year, but, I wanted to be able to look at prices before they end up going up.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You're on top of it, dear. That's awesome. That's exactly what you should be doing. Okay, if it's 30.
I saw on the ad that you had a $10,000 policy for 16 something.
Yeah, let me see what I can do. Okay, there are no medical exam, but they do ask medical questions. Okay, and it's based on age and health. All right, so let me just get a couple things from you. I've got your height and weight.
Okay, so just to kind of take a break right there.
Yeah.
If we go through it, and I'm looking through the transcript here. So when it comes down to it, you did great verifying, beneficiary, email, all that stuff. The one thing that I typically recommend to kind of stay away from is mentioning that you're in a completely different state. So like you said, oh, I'm in California, but I'm licensed in 26 states and one of them. I recommend making it seem as if you're there. You don't have to tell her that you're actually in her state, but yeah, I'm licensed here in the state of right. It's a general statement. I don't think that that's what she was necessarily looking for. But well, I guess whenever she came up with the where are you calling from, that's a good way to let her know, hey, look, yeah, I'm a licensed agent here in the state, right? So again, good opening, making sure that you verify. You asked if she was looking for herself or a loved one. Now, what I would recommend is, so you asked how long has she been looking, and when it came to her responding for a couple months, my recommendation right there would be, oh wow, really? So a couple months. What's exactly keeping you from getting something in place? Understand what her issue is, right? Why? Because honestly, it only makes sense to get something as soon as you found something you like. So clearly there's something she doesn't like. And is it because she's wanting 10,000? We've heard her now mention 10,000 for $16. Is it because she can't get it for $16? Then it's your job as an agent to explain to her, well, this is how life insurance works. And I always like to say, look, I'm going to explain it to you exactly how I would explain it to my mother. So when it comes down to life insurance, it's based on age and health. You and I can't change that. So the only thing we can do is work off the information that we can actually get today.
Mm-hmm.
or the options that we can get. So that would be, the
Yeah.
first recommendation that I would have is
Okay.
maybe try to focus on that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then she starts talking about the term life. Now, it seems like, and we'll continue to listen, but it seems like you're taking that as, oh, I got to kind of run into to try and get a quote, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the first thing you want to avoid. Now, if she pushes you there, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But we already know that the call goes, an
Yeah.
hour and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
So we know that she's willing to talk to you
Mm-hmm.
and she's willing to actually allow you to build some rapport.
Right.
Even if we didn't know that, you should be focused on making sure you get the right information out of her. And my goal in this call right away, as soon as I'm hearing it, my goal is now you've got a term and you don't know when it's going to expire. How do you know how to help her?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the first question. You need to know how you can actually help her because, in all reality, if she's got a term and she doesn't want to replace it, then what are you guys talking about?
Yeah. And
Right?
that's
Is
what it
she
is.
actually
She
wanting to get,
doesn't. She
yeah, go
doesn't
ahead.
want to, and I do find out, right? I know how it goes, right?
Yeah, you good.
Uh, so I do find out, and I don't suggest she replaces it because it's 30 years and she's 12 years in, and it's going
Okay.
to protect her
Perfect.
for some time.
Perfect.
And she wants something else, in case she outlives it, which everybody hopes she does, right?
Yeah.
And so I explained to her now's the time to do that, to get something in place, and you know, reviewing all of that. So I do find out that out. Um,
Perfect.
yeah.
Do you have an estimate as to when you find that out?
Mm,
Like, is it
I do
towards
find
the
it
end
out.
or
No, I'm not trying to replace it. I'm not, I'm throughout the whole
let me
call,
ask you a
I'm
better
not.
question.
Yeah.
Is it before you quote her or after you quote her?
It's before.
Before. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So she and it sounds like you're doing a job. I would try and get that out sooner.
Sooner.
Given the fact that it is a longer call and you didn't make the sale, you should be shooting for about absolutely no longer than 30 minutes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, it's likely that you talked about too many other things,
Yeah.
and it's easy to happen with somebody who's willing to talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And she's got a lot of meds, right? And she
Mm,
knows them all. And so we get into all of that.
okay,
Right?
perfect.
And then I'm looking at carriers and I'm getting the apps ready so that when I do pitch, I'm ready
Hmm.
to send if she says it's let's get it approved.
Sure.
And so that's where all the chit chat comes in, but it was like it was extra chit
Yeah.
chat. Yeah.
Well, and knowing that is really half the battle. If you think you did everything right and it took an hour and a half, then obviously that's a bit of a problem. But you already know that it went a little too long, and
Yeah.
and that's perfectly
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Sometimes conversations get away from you. It's more a matter of you just gotta work on um, work on correcting where you can.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll.
I was pleased of the way I got through that section, right? And I
Mhm.
think I am sharing with her that I can help her shop as a broker.
So let's just check it out.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then what is your birthday, dear? Okay. And so you've been looking for a couple months, and what is the specific reason maybe you haven't gotten something yet?
Uh, I'm just they're quoting me like $37 for a $10,000 life policy,
Right,
and
right.
I'm trying to find something,
Hmm.
cheap.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of a safety valve for the term policy.
When you hear that, that is I don't want to say it's a red flag because it doesn't necessarily mean that it's
Yeah.
a major problem. I always recommend when you hear somebody saying that, okay, so like a therapist, okay, think of it like a therapist. A therapist is going to want to really dig into that and figure out what's going on.
Hmm.
So you should be digging into that. Okay, so So you're trying to find something cheap. Now, has anybody explained to you exactly how life insurance works? It's based on your age and your health, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, you and I can't change that, right?
Hmm.
So do you kind of understand how that works? Get her to acknowledge that, and then when you get her to acknowledge that, say, okay, so what I can do is I absolutely find you the lowest rate. What you and I can't do is make that rate up.
Hmm.
So when it comes to that 10,000, are you only willing to spend that $16 for that 10,000? Is that what you're saying? That's the key thing that you need to figure out. Okay.
Okay.
And maybe you do kind of uncover that a
No,
little
I
bit.
don't. I don't. I
And that's
just like,
very, very key, right?
yep, yep,
And the
because I
reason
end up
why,
quoting her, I think well, I've got it written down here somewhere, but I think she's up in $37,
Mhm,
double her price for 10.
mhm.
And um, I could have saved all that time saying are you stuck at the 16?
Yeah. That's so. Way I like to ask is, okay, so Russell, when you were quoted that 10,000 for 37, so are you saying you're just not going to get anything if you can't get it for cheaper than that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if her answer is no, that's just stupid. I'm never going to pay that much for 10,000. Well, I'm going to pull up some quotes at like without even telling her, okay, so bear with me here just a second. Let me check out a couple things. I'm going to pull up the very bottom line quotes, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're not going to come in, and here's
Yeah.
the other kind of red flag, she's
Mm-hmm.
talking about $37 as a problem,
Uh, yeah.
right? So
Above
that's
16 is the problem.
absolutely a red
Yeah.
flag right there
And
because
so, you
yeah,
just
so
do a
if
blank toolkit, no
mhm,
meds,
yep,
if we're not in the ballpark.
yeah, if you can't actually get below that $37, then what there's
Hmm.
no point in talking because
Hmm.
she's already said no. Now, I shouldn't say that. You could still have a bit of a conversation, but you need to figure out, is she stuck on I want 10,000 for $16?
Hmm.
Because it's your job to explain to her that, look, I know you want it for cheaper. I want to tell you, just as if I would tell my own mom, if you if you and I can't change what your age is, then there's no way to change that rate. And I want you to know that out of 40 companies that I can see, even
Hmm.
if you can't work with them all,
Hmm.
out of 40 companies that I can see, there are no other options that would be any lower than that.
Hmm.
So now I want to help you make sure that you actually get qualified for this rate because, sorry, because in this case, you may not get qualified if you don't have the right agent. So you could still be that kind of guiding light for her
Hmm.
by positioning yourself in. Okay, I can help you make sure that you actually get qualified.
Hmm.
But if she's like, oh no, there's no way I'm going to pay 37 for 10,000,
Yep.
you're pretty much wasting your time in the
Hmm.
fact that one, she's probably a tire kicker and she's going to look at every ad. She's going to call every single agent. And what's going to happen with somebody like this is she's going to get an agent who's going to say, "Oh yeah, I can get you 10,000 for $16." And you know what they're going to do? They are going to get her a $5,000 whole life and they're going to
Hmm.
add accidental to it.
Hmm.
That's going to get her close to her price range, but they're going to just tell her, "Yeah, I can get you 10,000 for $10,000 worth of life insurance for $20."
Hmm.
Right? And she's going to be like, "Oh, I'm so happy," only to not realize that someone just swindled her
Yeah.
by giving her an accidental death rider.
Right.
And maybe she'll see it on the policy. Most clients don't.
Hmm.
And so that's another area that you explain to her. Look, I want to be honest with you. You're never going to get 10,000 for cheaper than that. But what
Hmm.
is likely to happen if you keep talking to people is you're going to
Hmm.
run into somebody who is going to talk you into doing something that you don't even realize is not what you're looking for.
Hmm.
And then explain to her, look, they're going to sell you accidental on top of it, and it's
Hmm.
only going to pay out 5,000. unless you die in an accident. And the likelihood that you're going to die in an accident is slim to none.
Right. Okay. Got that.